To the surprise and excitement of many watching, the enforcers got out to an early lead, and even extended that lead going into halftime. At the end of the first half, the enforcers had a 26-18 lead. Part of that lead was built up by foul shots in a half where fouls were called early and often in the enforcers' favor. After his physical issues in Game 2, it seemed the calls were favoring Hall Jr., and he was being given the benefit of the doubt. The calls began to irritate some of the Red Raiders players. During the game, Hall Jr. managed to frustrate both twins, one who was his opponent, the other who was his teammate. A number of players were growing annoyed with Hall's questionable foul calls. Slow-mo replays would show in most cases, there was no foul on the play. It boiled over to a shouting match between Hall Jr. and Jakeem Gates that got testy, but not out of hand. The other part of the lead was simply the Raiders taking a long time to get in sync on offense. With Jimenez back after missing Game 2, the team's rhythm seemed off. He hadn't practiced with the team, and was unfamiliar with the team's high-post offense it had relied on to win Game 2. Jimenez came out to simply try and reignite the outside shot from Game 1. Unfortunately for the Red Raiders, that flame appeared to be out. Many of the shots that had been makes for Jimenez in Game 1 were now missing wide. In general, all shots seemed especially difficult on the problematic rim, with seeming easy makes clanging around the rim and out. The Red Raiders scrambled with their lineup to find combinations that worked. During the halftime break, both teams' benches were yelling at one another from across court. Enforcers captain David Hill tried to keep the team focused on finishing the job, and keep them from getting caught up in the emotion. During the halftime break, despite the opposing team watching, the Red Raiders actually went out and appeared to run a turbo practice, trying to teach players who missed practice about how to initiate the offense from the high post. They would have to execute better in the second half if they wanted to come back. Jacqueline Lauren came out aggressive, and scored her series high in points. Brother Nadir Chisholm, one of her defenders, seemed to have an idea to slow her down. Nadir had been known for unnecessarily scratching and slapping players off ball during the games throughout his basketball career. In this game, he audibly slapped Jacqueline on the arm, for seemingly no reason. He explained he was trying to get by.
Saying that Nadir slapped her. Oh my God. He tried going to the basket and inadvertently slaps Jacqueline Lauren on the arm.
Before the start of the second half, Nick warned Nadir to get ready. Nadir nodded, saying he had something for him. By the look in his eyes, and the way he was rubbing his hands, Nick wondered if Nadir actually was pre-planning to foul him beforehand, rather than saying he was going to do something actually useful, like score on him. Nick walked over toward the bench and told his teammates, "Watch this, he's gonna foul me." Sure enough, on the first play, Nick baited Nadir, and Nadir fouled him, sending him to the free throw line. The foul issue had become a major problem for Nadir, and it was well known among players. As his enforcer's teammate would explain, quote, when he would foul or bump into someone on the court, he would look over at you like he thought he had done something good. No, Nadir, the point of basketball is to defend without contact. While TJ had become good at controlling his aggression on defense, and the other enforcers' players didn't seem to be prone to fouling, Nadir still hadn't learned how to play defense without fouling. Worse, Nadir would soon understand what Nick was warning him about. While running down a loose ball on a close play, Nadir was bumped to the ground by Andrew Rohrbach in the moment that would cement his nickname the Attack Dog. Fans, as well as some players, believed Nick had sent Rohrbach to send a receipt to Nadir, although Rohrbach would admit he did this entirely on his own. Andrew leered over Nadir and said, "Don't hit my teammate," referring to the Jacqueline slap. Nadir became enraged and threw the ball at Rohrbach, then began to get up as if he would charge Rohrbach. However, Haas Eldridge jumped in and pushed him back down. The next time Nadir got up, he was grabbed by his own teammate, who dragged him off the court and yelled at him for not keeping his composure in a close game. Nick simply grinned, shook his head, and walked off to the sideline to take a breather. He saw an opportunity to regroup and come back in the game as the enforcers were becoming overly emotional. Rohrbach and Eldridge also would calm down and laugh it off, and offer to make amends, but the enforcers made the decision to eject Nadir from the game themselves. Nadir spent the rest of the game on the sidelines, seething with impotent rage. This was a decision that would come back to haunt an exhausted team in need of fresh legs. For Nadir, it was rock bottom for his SCW Sports career, still regretful about the decision to align himself against the Red Raiders in the first place. For Nick and the Red Raiders though, it was now time to strike. Sure enough, the incident would indirectly lead to the fired-up Red Raiders mounting a comeback, and taking control of the lead, and not letting go. Playing a team-oriented style that emphasized ball movement, and abandoning three-point attempts, the Red Raiders would complete the comeback, and clinch the championship by a final score of 51-43.